Welcome to Turn Into Podcast. I'm Gina. Join me in my journey and discover how women's stories are woven into our lives, reflecting the beautiful tapestry of human experience. Cure yourself with the light of the sun and the rays of the moon, with the sound of the river and the waterfall, with the soughing of the sea and the fluttering of birds. Heal yourself with mint, neem, and eucalyptus. Sweeten yourself with lavender, rosemary, and chamomile. Hug yourself with the cocoa bean and a touch of cinnamon. Put love in tea instead of sugar, and drink it staring at the stars. Heal yourself with the kisses the wind gives you and the hugs of the rain. Get strong with bare feet on the ground and with everything that is born from it. Get smarter every day by listening to your intuition and looking at the world with the eye of your forehead. Jump, dance, sing so that you live happier. Heal yourself with beautiful love and always remember, you are the medicine. Welcome to Turn Into. The poem you just heard was written by an extraordinary woman who deepened our connection to nature and ancient wisdom. Today, we are traveling deep into the Sierra Mazateca mountains of Oaxaca, Mexico, to learn about a woman whose life bridged the seen and unseen worlds. Her chants were improvisational poetry, a beautiful tapestry of spiritual invocations, personal narratives, and healing pronouncements. Her name was Maria Sabina Magdalena. Born in 1894 in the village of Huautla de Jimenez, Maria Sabina was a Mazatec curandera, a traditional healer and shaman who became internationally known for her use of mushrooms in spiritual ceremonies called veladas. For centuries, these sacred mushrooms were central to her people's spiritual practices, a way to commune with divine forces and gain insight into illness and life mysteries. Maria Sabina's path wasn't chosen, it was inherited. She came from a long line of sabios, wise ones, who understood the language of plants and the rhythms of the spirit world. She didn't see herself as extraordinary. She was simply a vessel, a voice for the mushrooms themselves. For most of her life, Maria Sabina's practices remained within the confines of her community, a sacred tradition passed down through generations. But the world outside Huautla de Jimenez wouldn't remain unaware for long. In 1957, an American banker and ethnomycologist named R. Gordon Wasson traveled to Huautla. After being introduced to Maria Sabina, he participated in a velada with her. His subsequent article in Life magazine, titled Seeking the Magic Mushroom, shattered centuries of secrecy. Watson's article, while intended to be respectful, opened the floodgates. Suddenly, Walter de Jimenez became a magnet for Westerners, anthropologists, spiritual seekers, and unfortunately, many who were simply looking for a psychedelic experience without understanding the profound cultural and spiritual context. The quiet sacred village transformed, overwhelmed by outsiders. And you may be wondering, how does any of this relate to Gina's art? Well, I had no idea who Maria Sabina was, or how profoundly she will impact and inspire me to create the Mushroom Lady artwork. It was 2011. I was young and sharing a house run by nuns in one of Mexico City's most beautiful neighborhoods, Roma Norte. Known for his new classical architecture, incredible restaurants, and vintage stores. How I ended up living with nuns? Oh no, that's a long story for another podcast. I used to ride an eco bike to get to my job, which I love it. I was in charge of marketing in a software startup, and in all the roles you cannot even imagine. I was the only one in the department, and I was never boring, always challenging. The team was incredible, talented, and fun. I made my best friends there, and I learned so much from them. I had just come back from Silicon Valley. I was shining, living the life that I wanted, and dating the guys that I wanted. Every weekend, I used to visit the latest exposition, René Magritte, David LaChapelle, Yayoi Kusama. At night, partying with friends and visiting all the bars and more alternative places you could ever imagine. Crossing the kitchen's restaurant to find a speakeasy where brilliant musicians play jazz. Or dancing salsa in a huge room next to a famous politician and a construction worker. Or going to a punk concert in a hidden gecko. I knew I had a brilliant future in front of me. I was wondering, what would be my next step? I could see Australia was on my horizon. But don't rush, lady, Destiny said, and played a trick. One day, after finishing a trade show, the sales manager offered me a ride home. I didn't like him. He was 7 years older than me, short as a gnome and uglier than Gollum, but smarter than Sauron. We often argue at work because we disagree on everything. Since I was carrying so much stuff, I thought, why not? Before we got to my place, he asked me if I was hungry. Of course I was. So we stopped for dinner, and to my surprise, I discovered he was incredibly smart and intellectual, with 2 bachelor's degrees, one in commercial relations and another in sociology. We had a fascinating conversation about Bukowski, Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Foucault, Kafka, and so many authors. We continued dating. I liked him, but I knew he wasn't what I wanted. I broke up with him so many times in less than a week. I lost the count. But Andrew was famous at the office for selling anything. One day, he sold a $1 million product that didn't even exist yet. The developers had to create it after the sale. So as you can imagine, he couldn't give up on my resistance. At 26, most of my friends were getting married, and I was usually dating guys, but never committed to any relationship. He persisted until one day, I finally gave in. Andrew, who Andres in Spanish, is originally from Yautla de Jimenez and has indigenous blood. His parents speak Mazatec, but he didn't. He was afraid of trying mushrooms, arguing he didn't believe in any god. Each year, we visited Huautla to celebrate New Year's. To get there, we had to drive about 7 hours from Mexico City through winding curves. It was the end of 2014. We were having dinner with his family when Maria Sabina's name came up. Andres' father shared his experience with the mushrooms and how they had healed him. "Why don't you try them?" At that moment, his father planted the seed in my mind. I had been practicing meditation and telepathy since 2010, and my teacher had explicitly warned me against trying mushrooms, saying my mind was already too open. But, like Eve with the apple tree, I just couldn't resist. 6 months later, it was the summer, rainy season. My guide, a robust indigenous woman named Maria, arrived at Andres' house around 8 p.m., carrying candles, copal, and tobacco for the ceremony. I wasn't the only one embarking on the journey. My sister's-in-law boyfriend joined me too. My partner, his mother, his father, and his younger brother sat next to us. In Mazatec culture, people believe that mushrooms should only be consumed at night and always accompanied by a guide and people who pray for them. Otherwise, one may get lost on the journey and never get back. The guide lit some candles. Before we started, she asked, "Why would you like to heal?" Then she gave us some mushrooms and began chanting in Mazatec and praying, guiding us through our spiritual journeys. According to Mazatec traditions, the profound insights gained from these sacred experiences are not meant to be shared openly. They believe that the true journey unfolds within each individual, and to reveal too much would be to diminish your own unique path. Therefore, I won't describe what I experienced. I don't want to generate any expectations or ruin the surprise of your own potential revelations. Let me explain something. For those who think mushrooms are recreational, there's a VIP lobby just before the infraworld, where these visitors are received and protected by some bodyguards, like the ones outside a popular nightclub. These dudes keep this type of visitors in the lobby, enjoying the entertainment of different colored lights until the effect wears off. Conversely, for those whose intentions are pure of heart, the doors of the Palace of Wisdom will open. For Westerners with a stone head, meaning a strong prefrontal cortex developed by scientific thinking, usually accompanied by very low sensibility, let me use a metaphor. Picture your mind as an island. On this island, you have crafted a beautiful castle made of beliefs collected from childhood, community, and your own experiences. In this castle, you feel safe and secure because, of course, everything you see is familiar and known by you. And because you may think you can control every single concept of your world. But as soon as you step to the perimeters of your island, you start feeling uncomfortable, anxious, and fearful because of the unknown. Holy moly, what is this? Better run away and come back to my castle. And that's how most people react. And we don't need to take mushrooms to live the process. It could be facing the challenges of a new job, a love relationship, moving to a new country, developing a new skill, learning to live alone, dealing with grief, or recovering from an illness. Any experience that pushes us to expand the frontiers of our mindset makes us fearful. Once we realize that our fears are based on unreal beliefs, They vanish like a curtain of smoke. Immediately, our island expands, and our castle is demolished to be rebuilt with new bricks of knowledge and wisdom. As long as we are alive, this process is continuous. We call it growth. The key to a smooth journey is letting go our old beliefs. Otherwise, resistance will only bring suffering, and we might find ourselves needing another lifetime or several to move on. The decision is always ours. We live in a culture where we want everything to be express. If we visit a restaurant, we expect the food in no more than 15 minutes. If we order anything on Amazon, we will expect them the next day. Why shouldn't it be the same with mushrooms? We may think that if we consume some medicine plant and survive for 5 hours, we made it. How do I explain you that healing doesn't work that way? First, let's clarify, what is healing? According to my new AI, Gemini, the true meaning of healing isn't about eradicating our wounds, but about integrating them, acknowledging and embracing the parts of ourselves that we have long rejected. This is the journey of becoming whole. So if you think healing is a pleasant and quick process, you may be disappointed by the mushrooms. The healing happens later, when they bring to light what has been rejected or denied in the shadows of our subconscious. I had to take mushrooms to learn this lesson by myself. I wish Gemini existed by then, but well, no one truly learns from someone else's head. Coming back to my journey, the next day I woke up feeling light and clean as a baby. My state of mind was pure love and innocence. In my ignorance, I didn't know that the real healing was about to start. I returned to Mexico City with my partner and continued my life. I didn't notice any immediate change. It was smooth and slow. Suddenly, I found myself contemplating nature more often, crying for no reason, observing people's behavior, questioning who I was and what I was doing. A huge curiosity and hunger for learning intensified on me. I was already eating healthy, but now I was more and more conscious about what I was consuming. Not only food, but also alcohol, television, and even the books and friends I chose. I had started meditating some years ago, but now my fervor was even greater. I would meditate twice a day for longer periods, sometimes for hours. I was so excited about the mushrooms that I started telling everyone about my experience. My family, who aren't usually open to practicing any therapy or healing, just listened to me, except for my sister Dalia. At that time, she was in a violent relationship with a drug addict, and I want her to help her get out. I took her to Ajautla, where Maria and I guided her. But surprisingly, my sister's prefrontal cortex didn't allow her to see or experience anything. The lesson was for me. I was trying to save her, control and change my sister's reality, when in fact, only she had the free will to change the direction of her life. I returned to Mexico City frustrated and disappointed, yet still immersed myself in the red path. This journey involved uncovering the wisdom encrypted in my indigenous heritage, exploring shamanism, temazcales, the power of stones, and participating in dances with drums, flowers, and feathers. My father, who was already passed away, used to come in my dreams and give messages that I didn't understand yet. I was also feeling presence in my home and hearing voices. I remember one day I woke up in the middle of the night with the urge to meditate. I went to another room, sat there, and heard monks chanting and meditating with me. The next morning, Andres woke up upset. Who the hell came last night? They didn't let me sleep. They sounded like monks, something they were singing. In one of my most beautiful and strange meditations, I saw my whole life running as slides on a screen. It contained everything, my whole life, in microseconds. When I opened my eyes, I realized it had only been 5 minutes. I wonder, is this what people see before they die? By that time, I had already quit my corporate job and feeling so confused, trying to find my passion, looking for meaning in this life, but I didn't know what to do. Online, I stumbled upon a workshop in Tepoztlán about how to start social projects inspired by Australian Indigenous culture. So I signed myself and my partner. If you haven't been to Tepoztlán, let me give you some context. It's a hippie town where wealthy people from Mexico City and popular singers and actors buy country houses. Its famous mountain, El Tepozteco, is, according to shamans, an epicenter of energy. The day arrived and we show up. Andres, however, wasn't the same. Over the past few years, he had climbed the corporate ladder, becoming the CTO of the company I had left. He was furious, upset I had taken up his precious weekend. Why on earth did you bring me to these stinky hippies? He complained, yet by the end he was genuinely grateful and thanked me for the invitation. One of the workshop participants was a singer named Mojene, but because we were divided into different teams, I had no contact with her at all. The workshop ended and we came back home. The next morning, I woke up around 6:30 a.m. I could feel my body in my bed and heard Andres going to shower. I was half conscious, half sleeping. It was dark, and I saw spots of energy of different colors. I couldn't see her face or body, but I recognized her. It was Mojene. I was surprised and tried to focus my sight even more. Ironically, my eyes were closed, but I could see I was in my room. I focused my eyes again, then realized I wasn't in my room anymore. It was another room, not my own bed. There was a white closet in front of me, as well as a small white dog and a big black dog. I touched them, played with them, and turned my sight to see around the room. It looked kind of disorganized. Clothes and shoes were on the floor and furniture. I focused my eyes again, and now I was back in my own room. But her presence was still there. I focused my sight again, but this time I felt a huge electrical energy running through my body, and the experience ended. To confirm if my dream of her dogs was real, I found Majonade on Facebook and recounted my experience. She validated my hunch, explaining I had reached the theta stage, allowing me to exist in 2 locations at the same time. My sensibility was overwhelming. Feeling others' pain became intense. The metro was my biggest torture. If I ate meat, I would wake up to the spirit of the animal beside my bed. I lost interest in how I dress, in sex, in TV, social media, and even in socializing. Andres didn't like my new personality. He wanted me to be like I was before. He did many trials to revive the passion in our relationship, but every time we went to dance, I couldn't stand people's energy, especially if they were drinking, so I usually ran away from those places. What the heck was happening to me? Where was the rewind button? Please, can I get off this train? I wanted my life back. I wanted to be normal again, but I wasn't the same anymore. In our next episode, find out how the residents of Ayautla reacted to Western visitors and Maria Sabina's newfound popularity, and how I was able to come back to Earth again. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to support the work I'm doing, please consider checking out my Patreon. You can find the link in the show notes. Your gratitude and support help me create more content you love. You can also follow me at Instagram at Gina Art. See you next week, and remember, you were born to shine.